You wake up, check your phone, Bitcoin is up 8%, dopamine hits your heart, races, you're already daydreaming about Lambo season, but by lunch, it's all red. You panic sell, and just like that, you've made a mistake that millions of traders repeat every single day. This isn't about charts or the next hot altcoin. This video is about your brain. More specifically, how one tiny chemical called dopamine is quietly wrecking your portfolio, and how to stop it before it's too late. Let's get one thing straight. Dopamine is not your enemy. It's the brain's motivation molecule. It's what drives you to chase rewards, food, success, even love. But in the crypto market, it becomes a double-edged sword. When you see a coin pump, dopamine spikes. You feel like a genius. Your brain says, do that again. So next time you see green candles, you ape in. No research, no plan, just pure impulse. And it's not your fault. This system evolved when finding berries or escaping a lion was the goal, not just flipping Doge for a 5x overnight. Now, you ever been on a winning streak in crypto? Like everything you touch turns into gold? Well, you're scrolling through Twitter and someone drops alpha on a low cap gem, and boom, up 40% in a day. You're euphoric. You tell yourself, I've got the Midas touch, I see things others don't. That feeling, that rush of excitement, that's dopamine flooding your system. It's the same chemical that lights up your brain when you win at poker, when your crush texts you back, or when your phone buzzes with a notification. In crypto, it's the high of the pump, the thrill, and the chase for just one more win. But here's the catch. Dopamine doesn't care if the outcome is rational. It just wants more of the good feeling. So instead of making calculated, logical decisions, you start making emotional ones. You start trading to chase that hit again, like a gambler doubling down after a win. So let's break it down. The dopamine loop in crypto looks like this. You check your phone, see a coin is mooning. Dopamine spikes. You jump in late, the price pumps more and you feel like a genius. But then it crashes. You panic sell and now you feel like an idiot. Shame, regret, and then a few hours later, new tweet, new chart, new chance, rinse and repeat. That, my friends, is not investing. It's not even really trading. It's behavioral addiction dressed up as finance. Now let's use a metaphor. You're at a casino. There's a shiny new slot machine labeled AI Coin of the Week. You put in some money, ding ding ding, it pays you out. You cheer, you tweet, and you tell your friends. The next day, you play again, but this time you lose. But you remember the high of yesterday, so you keep playing, and slowly your wins shrink, your losses grow, and you're stuck trying to break even on a game that was never in your favor. Crypto can feel like that, especially if you're constantly glued to price charts, Discord servers, and Telegram calls. And here's what makes it worse, right? Everything in this space is designed to feed your dopamine. Real-time price tickers, green and red candles, notifications that make your heart skip a beat, influencers yelling this is going parabolic, and those stupid life-changing gain screenshots that flood your feed. Now these are triggers, and your brain reacts the same way it would to sugar or drugs or social media. It gets addicted to the anticipation of reward, not the reward itself. Let that sink in. Your brain doesn't actually need to win to get hooked. It just needs to think there's a chance, and that's why you'll find yourself aping into tokens with zero due diligence, and that's why you'll ignore your own rules, and that's why you'll buy the top, even when deep down something doesn't feel right. And there's an old saying, the market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. And I'll add this, it also transfers money from the emotional to the disciplined. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most traders don't lose because they picked the wrong token. They lose because they let chemicals in their brain make financial decisions. So ask yourself right now, are you buying because there's value or because someone else is hyped? Are you holding because of a plan or because you're frozen in fear and can't hit the sell button? That's the dopamine trap, and unless you learn to recognize it, it'll eat your profits from the inside out, one impulsive trade at a time. Now next up, we'll break down how the pros avoid this exact cycle and how you can rewire your mind to think like a long-term winner, not a short-term thrill seeker. Now alright, for the next chapter, let's get something straight. Pro traders aren't smarter than you. They're not psychic, they don't have a crystal ball, and most of them aren't even right more than 60% of the time. But the difference with you is they don't trade emotions, they trade systems. You see, while retail traders are chasing pumps and following hype like moths to a flame, professional traders are sitting back, watching and waiting, patient, calculated, boring even, but effective. Let's just put it this way. Retail traders play checkers and pros play chess. Professional traders approach the market like engineers. Everything is probability, risk management, and long-term edge. They don't care if one trade wins or loses. They don't care about being right every time. What they care about is, did I follow my system? And that's it. They know that one good trade won't make them rich, just like one bad one won't ruin them. It's not about catching the top or the bottom, it's about consistently staying in the game while the impatient get wiped out. And they follow the golden rule, trade like a robot, not like a roulette player. And here's another harsh truth. The pros are counting on you to trade emotionally. They know you're wired for instant gratification and they know you're scared to miss out. They know that if they pump a coin just enough, you'll jump in and they'll be there on the other side of the trade quietly taking profits. And this is why the market is so often described as a giant transfer of wealth, from the impatient to the patient, from the reactive to the prepared. And guess what? Most of these pro traders don't even have a massive following or loud voices on Twitter. They're silent, they're disciplined, and they know that emotion is your weakness and their edge. Let's borrow a lesson from poker. Good poker players never bet based on gut feelings. They play the odds, they know the math, they read the table, and they understand psychology. Crypto's no different. Pro traders treat each trade like a bet they can't afford to lose. They're not putting 80% of their portfolio into some random token they just saw on TikTok. They set position sizes and they manage risk to reward ratios. They protect their capital first and then profit second. Because here's the truth. Survival is the first rule of making money in crypto. And subscribing to my channel is free but will help you along your crypto journey as well. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow my Twitter and join our Telegram while you're at it. Right, so I know that all of you want the next 100x, right? That generational wealth, that tweet that goes viral. I bought Braincoin at 0.003 cents and now I'm a millionaire. But you know what's actually rare? A trader who sticks to a system. A trader who walks away from hype, and a trader who can look at a 50% pump and say, this doesn't fit my plan. That's discipline, and that's what separates pros from gamblers. And in the long run, discipline always beats dopamine, because when you master yourself, you master the market. Now next up, we'll break down how to actually train your brain to think like a pro and what you can do today to rewire your habits, calm your mind, and finally build a portfolio you don't have to babysit 24/7. If you've been feeling like the market is constantly one step ahead of you, it probably is, but the good news, you can catch up. You just need to play a different game. But before you do, please keep in mind that I'm not a registered financial advisor, so my videos are meant to be educational and entertaining only. Always do your own research and only invest money you're willing to lose, because even though you can gain a lot in crypto, you will most likely lose it all. Now, if you do gain a lot, it's very important to stay safe, and I've put links in the description to VPNs and hardware wallets to keep your crypto and activities secure. Let's be honest, right? Knowing the problem doesn't fix it, and by now you understand that dopamine is tugging at the strings, nudging you into impulsive decisions that feel good in the morning but hurt you in the long run. And you've seen how professional traders operate differently. Not because they are superhuman, but because they've trained themselves to see this market like a game of strategy and not a slot machine. But here's the question you're probably asking yourself right now. Okay, so how do I get there? How do I stop being the dopamine trader and start thinking like the pros? Well, the answer isn't sexy. It's not a magic trading indicator or a new altcoin that guarantees success. It's discipline, and not the kind of discipline where you grit your teeth and hope for the best, but the kind that's built into your environment, your habits, and your mindset day after day. Let me take you back to someone I used to coach, a guy named Sam. In the last bull run, Sam made over $250,000 from flipping low caps, and he was on top of the world. But as soon as the market turned, he didn't just lose money, he lost control, and he started revenge trading, trying to win it back. He'd wake up at 3 a.m. to check prices. He stopped going to the gym, he ignored his girlfriend, and when the dust settled, he wasn't just broke, he was burned out. And the funny thing is, he wasn't dumb. He had great instincts and solid technical skills. But what he didn't have was a system to protect him from himself. So he had to rebuild his mindset from the ground up. No flashy indicators, no secret Discord signals. We started with something incredibly simple. Before every trade, he had to write down 3 things: why he was entering, what would make him exit, and how much he was willing to lose. That's it. 3 lines in a journal. Now, at first, It felt pointless, like homework, but slowly it changed everything. It forced him to think before acting. It made him see that most of his ideas were actually emotional reactions. Now, over time, the journal became a mirror, one that showed him when he was acting like a trader and when he was acting like an addict. You see, most people try to fight dopamine with willpower, but that's like trying to stop a flood with duct tape. The trick isn't to fight dopamine, it's to create a system where discipline becomes automatic. Think about it. When you set boundaries, real ones, not fake ideas, you remove decision fatigue. You stop wondering, should I buy this or should I sell now? Because the plan is already in place. It's not about reacting to the market, it's about sticking to a pre-written script, no matter what Twitter is screaming or what your gut is whispering at you at 2 a.m. in the morning. Another big shift happens when you stop watching the charts like it's Netflix. I mean, seriously, how many times have you stared at a red candle hoping it turns green like it's going to do it just for you? Pros don't do that. They just zoom out. They check once or twice a day and then they get back to their life. The less screen time you give those candles, the less power they have over you. And here's one of the hardest truths. Sometimes doing nothing is the best trade. The market will always be there tomorrow, but your peace of mind, your health, your relationships, you don't get those back as easily. When you build a system that lets you walk away, you gain freedom, not just financial, but mentally as well. I know some of you are nodding right now because you've been there, you felt that anxiety, that compulsion, that urge to do something when the market moves, but I want you to imagine what it would feel like to check your portfolio and feel calm. To make a decision, not because you're afraid of missing out, but because you've done the work and trust your process. That's not just some fantasy, that's the real alpha. That's how you build wealth and keep your sanity in this game. So as we move to the final part of this video, I want you to remember this. Dopamine will always be part of the journey, but it doesn't have to drive the car. You can take the wheel back. You just need a map, a little patience, and the courage to slow down in a world that's always telling you to go faster. So here we are. We've taken a deep dive into the psychology behind your trades, how dopamine quietly hijacks your decisions, and how the pros operate on logic while retail investors run on impulse, and how you can start rewiring your brain to regain control of your portfolio and your peace of mind. Now let me ask you something else. Have you ever walked away from your computer after a trade, heart pounding, palm sweaty, and thought, what the hell did I just do? If you have, you're not alone. In fact, that moment of realization, that feeling of regret, is one of the most common emotions in all of crypto. And the wild thing, most people just brush it off. They laugh about it on Twitter, meme it, bury it under the next trade. But what if you didn't? What if instead of shrugging it off, you used it? Because here's the truth no one talks about. The real edge in this market isn't being early. It's not even about picking the perfect coin. The real edge is clarity. When you can see the storm coming and stay calm. When you can walk away from hype and stick to your plan. When you realize that crypto isn't a race, but a journey. That's when everything changes. Let me tell you something I've learned coaching traders and talking to real whales. People with 7, 8 or even 9 figures in crypto. They don't move fast, they move deliberately, and they're not trying to get rich today. They're positioning themselves for the next 5, 10 or even 20 years. While the rest of the market is sprinting from coin to coin like it's a game of hot potato, they're playing chess, quietly, patiently, and winning. And that's who you need to become. Not the guy in the Discord who posts I'm all in every single week. And not the one who buys because a YouTuber shouted a token with a cool name. And not the person who chases pumps like a dog chasing cars. You need to become the one who observes, who waits, who knows that emotion is the enemy of wealth and that clarity is your greatest weapon. Because at the end of the day, this game isn't about being right all the time. It's about surviving long enough to let your good decisions compound. And the only way to survive in a market this volatile is to master the one thing that every chart, every coin, and every cycle will always test, which is yourself. So here's your final takeaway. One that might just change the way you see everything from this point moving forward. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be early. You just need to be disciplined, consistent, and self-aware. And if you can do that, really do that, then you'll stop trading like the masses and start building the kind of future that most people can only tweet about. If this video hit home for you, drop a comment with the word clarity and know that I read every single one of them. And if you're serious about rewiring your habits and building a portfolio that actually works for your life, not your emotions, make sure to subscribe. This channel isn't just about coins, it's about becoming the kind of investor who wins in any cycle. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Doei!